Hello students, welcome to this special video lesson designed by Rishi Sir. Today we're going to dive into a really inspiring true story from your textbook called The Making of a Scientist. It's all about a real person, a scientist named Richard Ebright, and how his simple curiosity about butterflies as a kid led him to a huge scientific discovery. We're going to explore his journey in 4 main parts. First up, we'll look at his childhood. What got him started on this path. Then we'll talk about a very important lesson he learned from failing. After that, we'll follow his amazing journey from just a hobby to a major scientific theory. And finally, we'll unpack the ingredients that really make a great scientist. So, are you ready to get started?
So let's start. So we're talking about this kid, Richard Ebright, or Richie as everyone called him. Now he was an only child. And you know how that can be, no? A bit lonely sometimes. He couldn't really play things like cricket or football because, he didn't have a team to play with. So he had to find other things to keep himself busy.
And that's exactly what he did, Yar. He started collecting stuff. He began with butterflies when he was in kindergarten, and get this, by the time he was in 2nd grade, he had already collected all 25 species that you could find near his home. Can you imagine? He also collected rocks, fossils, coins, basically anything and everything. This became his whole world, especially after his father passed away when he was in 3rd grade.
And with his father no longer there, his mother really stepped up. She became his biggest champion. She didn't just let him collect things, she actively encouraged his curiosity. She was his best friend, and she bought him microscopes, telescopes, cameras, all the tools he needed to explore the world around him. As she said, she found learning things for him to do. That's the kind of support that changes everything, isn't it?
Absolutely. And then his mom gave him this book, The Travels of Monarch X. And this was a huge turning point. It wasn't just some storybook, you see. It actually explained how monarch butterflies fly thousands of miles all the way to Central America. And here's the coolest part. It asked kids to help out. They could actually tag butterflies for a real scientist, a Dr. Urquhart. All of a sudden, Richie's hobby, it wasn't just a hobby anymore. It was real science.
Exactly. That book really pushed him to take his first big step into the world of competitive science. So he entered the county science fair, probably feeling pretty confident. But his first experience with real-world science came with a pretty big shock. He lost. He didn't win a single prize.
Arre, that must have been so disappointing, yaar. Just imagine the pressure, no? He had simply put up a neat display of some frog tissue slides. But the kids who actually won, they had done real experiments. They were trying to test an idea to prove something. That was the moment he understood that science isn't just about showing off what you already know. It's about trying to discover something new.
And this is the part that separates the people who succeed from those who just give up. As he said himself, it was a sad feeling. But that feeling didn't stop him. Instead, it lit a fire inside him. He finally understood that to win, he had to do real experiments. That failure, it actually became the fuel for his competitive drive.
So, what did he do next? He didn't just sit around and wait for the next science fair. He took action. He wrote a letter to that very same scientist from the book, Dr. Urquhart, and asked him for ideas for real experiments. And guess what? Dr. Urquhart wrote back and sent him a whole list of projects. That simple act of just reaching out for help, it set him on this incredible path of discovery. And just look at this journey. It was like one thing just led to the next. He started off trying to find what caused a disease that was killing monarch caterpillars, but his really big breakthrough came when he started studying those 12 tiny gold spots on a monarch pupa. Everyone else thought they were just for decoration, but he proved that they actually produced a super important hormone. This work won him prizes year after year, and every discovery just opened the door to the next big question. Okay, let's just pause for a quick science lesson here, because this is important. All of his work on these insect hormones eventually led him to a really fundamental question about life itself. And this has to do with DNA. So what is DNA? Just think of it like the ultimate instruction manual, or the master blueprint for all of life. It's inside every single cell, and it tells that cell exactly what it needs to do. So the big puzzle that scientists were trying to solve back then was this. How does a cell actually read the instructions written in that DNA blueprint? And amazingly, Richard Ebright found the answer. It happened when he was looking at X-ray photos of that exact same insect hormone he'd been studying for years. He had his big eureka moment. All his work on butterflies gave him the key to unlock one of the biggest secrets of life.
So his story is pretty incredible, right? But the chapter also helps us understand why he was so successful. It wasn't just one single thing. It was a combination of many different qualities. So let's take a look at the ingredients that made him such a great scientist.
Yes, the recipe. Okay, so first off, you obviously need a sharp mind. He was a smart guy. Second, you need that kyun hota hai, kaise hota hai feeling, that endless curiosity. He was always asking questions. And also, very importantly, he had great mentors, like his mother and his teacher, Mr. Weiher. And finally, he had that drive, that will to win. But the reason he wanted to win, that's what's really interesting.
This quote from his teacher, Mr. Weiher, explains it perfectly. He saw that Richard's motivation was just different. He wasn't just trying to beat the other students or get a prize. He was winning because he just wanted to do the absolute best work that he was capable of. He was driven by a pure desire for excellence. And that right there is the crucial difference.
So, from a lonely little kid collecting butterflies to a world-famous scientist, what an amazing journey, no? And it all started with that one little spark of curiosity. And that kind of makes you think, doesn't it? What's your spark? What's the thing you're really curious about? And how can you, just like Richard E. Bright, turn that curiosity into your own amazing journey of discovery? Cello, done and dusted. Best of luck, guys.